What is going on, everybody? Sports Expert here, and we are doing our top 25 rankings post week 3, week 4. So, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you're new, turn on the post notification bell, like the video, comment what you think. I would appreciate all 4 of those as it helps the channel and the algorithm, helps the community all around. Would appreciate it a ton. We're going to be doing college football videos all week, every single week. I'm sorry about the lack of content last week, but this week it's going to be, more sped up, with content. So hopefully, you guys tune in. So let's get started. As at 25, I have the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. They are coming off a tough 51-45 loss versus Clemson at home. Just a tough loss for Wake Forest. They had that one, it seemed. And Clemson was just more clutch in overtime. DJ Uiagalelei made some good throws. The defense definitely didn't hold up. Sam Hartman couldn't get it done on the second drive in overtime. But, yeah, Wake Forest still a solid team, still in my top 25. Not too concerned with Dave Clawson's squad. At 24, I have the Cincinnati Bearcats. They are back in my top 25 after a 45-24 home win, which I thought was pretty impressive against the Indiana Hoosiers. So, give credit to Luke Fickell and company. Coached a great game. Ben Bryant went off 4 touchdown passes. The Cincinnati team really, it's probably not as good as last year, obviously, but it's definitely still has some talent. And, Ben Bryant's not too bad of an option. Former Eastern Michigan quarterback. I think Cincinnati's going to be one of the top favorites in the AAC again. So, yeah. I like what I'm seeing from Luke Fickell, though, even with the guys he's lost. He's lost some guys on the coaching staff, too. So, we'll see what happens with Cincinnati towards, over the next few weeks. At 23, I have the Syracuse Orange. They are coming off a close 22-20 home win over the Virginia Cavaliers. So, Syracuse, I got to say, they almost choked that game. Looked like it was going to be a blowout, but the offense just couldn't get anything going. Garrett Schrader wasn't playing too well. The offensive line wasn't really blocking. Dino Babers' play calling, or I don't even know who calls the plays, it just wasn't ideal. So Syracuse, they, barely edge it out and stay in my top 25, but might need to clean up a few things. At 22, I have the Kansas Jayhawks. They are 4-0. Coming off a 35-27 win over the Duke Blue Devils at home. Big rivalry there. Kansas wins with the sellout crowd. Jalen Daniels is a stud. Could he be QB3 in this next year's draft? I don't know. Maybe. But I really like what I'm seeing. He can run. He can pass. Great dual threat quarterback for the Kansas Jayhawks. And, yeah. There's just not much to say other than, Kansas, they're having fun. They are having fun in the Big 12. And now they're just, see what happens, though. But they're going to have some tougher matchups coming up. At 21, I have the Arkansas Razorbacks. They are coming off a tough road loss versus Texas A&M, 23-21. Sam Pittman's still doing a very solid job at Arkansas, but the last couple weeks haven't been ideal, almost losing to Missouri State at home and losing to Texas A&M. Not a bad team by any means in Arkansas, but definitely would like to clean things up towards the end of the season here over the next few weeks. So if you're Pittman, get these guys rolling again and everything. So, yeah. At 20, I have the Texas A&M Aggies. They are coming off that 23-21 win over Arkansas. So, good win for Texas A&M. Good, well-coached game by Jimbo Fisher, which is a rarity at this point. Offense didn't do a ton, but they didn't need to do a lot. I really like that Evan Stewart, 5-star recruit, wide receiver. He had a nice touchdown catch. I think he's got a lot of potential and a very bright future ahead of him. So, A&M, they just got to develop these guys, and they can definitely be a top team in the country for years to come. At 19, I have the Ole Miss Rebels. They're coming off a 35-27 surprisingly close win over Tulsa. One thing about Ole Miss, they'll win games, but they won't cover the spread. It just seems like that. And that's really surprising under a Lane Kiffin-operated team. So, Ole Miss, maybe they just need to clean things up. Jackson Dart's been kind of underwhelming, but he hasn't been too bad. Would like to see more from him. But, yeah, if you're Ole Miss, just clean it up a bit and stay in the top 25. At 18, I have one of the more impressive teams as of late, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They are coming off an impressive 34 to, I can't remember the final score. I know they scored 34 though. But blowout win over Michigan State on the road. What a job by PJ Fleck and his company. I mean, without Chris Ottman-Bell, their top receiver, they're still getting things done. So Mohamed Ibrahim is having a great season. Tanner Morgan's definitely having a better season like 2019. I mean, all you got to say about Minnesota, I mean, they're impressing a lot of people. And, definitely the team to beat in the Big Ten West at this point. No doubt. At 17, I have the Florida State Seminoles. They are coming off a huge 44-14 win at home against Boston College. Blowout win. Jordan Travis, he played, yesterday after that ankle injury he suffered versus Louisville. There was a lot of concern he could be out for a while, but didn't miss much time. Just missed a bit of that Louisville game. Still ended up winning, but Florida State's now 4-0. The schedule gets tougher coming up here, but don't have too much worry right now as, in a couple weeks here, Clemson at home comes up, so that'll be a huge game. And, yeah, one of the biggest games of the ACC this year. At 16, I have the Baylor Bears. They are coming off a nice 31-24 road win at Iowa State, a game they were underdogs in and a game a lot of people thought Iowa State would win. I picked Baylor in that game. I liked what I saw from Baylor, yesterday. I think Blake Shapen definitely is that guy for them. 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Definitely secured the ball well. Dave Aranda still doing a very solid job over there despite the loss versus BYU. At 15, I have the Oklahoma Sooners. They are coming off a 41-34 loss versus Kansas State. Just a tough loss for Oklahoma all around. Dylan Gabriel was fine, but the defense really struggled. Adrian Martinez went off against them. Deuce Vaughn had a solid game. Crazy because Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn couldn't find anything versus Tulane. Then they go out here and just destroy Oklahoma. It's quite something. And speaking of Tulane, they just lost to Southern Miss. So, yeah, that's college football for you, So, Oklahoma falls 9 spots. And, Brent Venables going to have to do some work with this team, especially with the defensive side. At 14, I have the Oregon Ducks. They are coming off a nice comeback win over the Washington State Cougars. Down 34-22 with about 5 minutes to go. They win by 10. I mean, Bo Nix, he's having fun, as TND would say. I mean, can't tell us otherwise. Bo Nix, man, he ain't done yet. And this Oregon Ducks team, other than that blowout loss versus UGA, they're a solid team, They look like a solid team here, these Oregon Ducks, So, if you're the Ducks, good win, the Pac-12 is wide open for them, so they're definitely not out of this. At 13, I have the Kentucky Wildcats coming off a close win over Northern Illinois. Kind of surprised it was close. They kind of struggled against Miami, Ohio a bit, and now struggle against Northern Illinois. It seems like they're kind of looking forward to the games coming up, as they were looking forward to Florida, now they're looking forward to Ole Miss. So, not too surprising. Teams kind of do that sometimes, but, Will Levis is still probably my quarterback 3 in this year's draft coming up. Liked him a lot last year. We'll see what happens towards, the next few weeks. But, not too concerned about Kentucky, but definitely would like to see more urgency with them. At 12, I had the Penn State Nittany Lions. They are coming off a blowout win against Central Michigan. Not too surprising there. Central Michigan, that's a gimme win for Penn State. And, yeah, so Sean Clifford just played a fine game. Drew Allar, he's going to be a star, I think. I mean, dude looks like a stud. He'll be the starting quarterback next year, no doubt. So, if you're a Penn State fan, you're probably very excited to see him. So, at Washington, I have at 11. They are coming off a 40-22 home win against Stanford. Michael Penix seems like the answer there. I mean, Kalen DeBoer's done a great job. Not too surprising. He's worked with Penix in Indiana. So, Washington, they are a Pac-12 contender. You got a few teams in the Pac-12 that can actually win this. And it's really exciting to see a potentially competitive Pac-12. At 10, I have the Utah Utes. They are coming off a big 34-13 win at Arizona State. Not too surprising given the mess at Arizona State. Cam Rising played a solid game. Dalton Kincaid, their top receiving option, had another solid game. Not too surprising with Utah. You know, Whittingham's doing a good job over there, and they're going to keep fighting. At 9, I have the NC State Wolfpack. They're coming off a 41-10 win at home against UConn. They did not cover the spread, which I was a bit surprised about. But Devin Leary, had a fine game against a very inferior opponent. And coming up soon, I believe this coming week, will be at Clemson. Clemson's won, I believe, 29 straight home games or something like that. So it's going to be tough, but NC State's looking to get it done. I think this might be one of the higher ranked opponents they've played at home. So Clemson. At 8, I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They are coming off a bye week, top contender in the Big 12 with Mike Gundy and Spencer Sanders. At 7, I have the Tennessee Volunteers. They are coming off a big 38-33 win at home against Florida. Josh Heupel looks like the answer there in Knoxville. Hendon Hooker, he's a stud. The only issue with that, he only has one more year of eligibility, and that's this year. So Tennessee's going to be searching. But definitely a program to watch out for this season and for years to come, potentially with Heupel at the helm. So Tennessee, they almost choked that game versus Florida, but Florida's not a bad team at all by any means. They got a very solid quarterback in Anthony Richardson, who a lot think might be the third best quarterback in this year's draft. So if you're Tennessee, you're feeling fine, although that almost came to bite you. At 6, I have the Clemson Tigers coming off that 51-45 comeback win in overtime versus Wake Forest. Dabo Swinney doing Dabo things, coached a solid game. DJ really surprised a lot of people, including me, made some really nice throws. So Clemson, they look like a solid team. They look like a team that's definitely beatable, though. But right now, still haven't lost. Defense does need to clean up some things, though. At 5, I have the USC Trojans. They are coming off a very close win on the road against Oregon State, 17-14. I think the one difference in this game is Luke Musgrave, the tight end for Oregon State. He was out. I think if he would have played, that would have made it tough on USC. But they find a way to get it done without having to face him. Chance Nolan for Oregon State threw 4 picks, not ideal for him. And USC, Caleb Williamson played his greatest game, but the defense definitely showed up. The over-under was 70.5 in this game, 31 total points. So if you bet the under, you're happy. You're happy right now. You're feeling fine. Not much else to say about that. Not a betting channel, but we may give some tips here and there. But at 4, I have the Michigan Wolverines, as they are coming off a 34-27 win over the Maryland Terrapins at home. Blake Corum had a great game. I don't know why they put that Stokes in, who fumbled on that one play. Corum, he was just rolling. Just the coaching wasn't absolutely great for Michigan in the first half, but in the second half, it got much better. So not too concerned as a Michigan fan. If we get an undefeated Michigan versus Ohio State in the last week of the season, that would be that'd be a popcorn match for sure. At 3, I have the Alabama Crimson Tide coming off a 55-3 easy win at home against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt playing without Mike Wright again, just can't really find much going. Not too surprising. Bryce Young had 4 touchdowns in the first half of this game. He's back. He's having fun. Ja'Cory Brooks is a stud. Just a lot going on for Alabama. These top 3 teams are pretty obvious, though, and will be playoff teams. As number 2 is the Ohio State Buckeyes, coming off a blowout win versus Wisconsin, 52-21. Probably should have been like 59-14, but they put some second stringers in towards the end and kind of went very conservative, the Buckeyes. But, they held Braylon Allen in check for a bit, but then he started rolling, especially in the second half, had a 75-yard touchdown. But C.J. Stroud with another 5 touchdowns and another great performance. Smith and Njigba do not play in this game, but they obviously didn't need him. Guys like Egbuka, Harrison stepped up again, especially Cade Stover, who's been a great option at tight end for Ohio State. We didn't know who was going to be the tight end coming into the season, but he's definitely been very, reliable for this football club. So, yeah, definitely good to see, especially once you get to the playoffs, you would like to have a X factor like Stover there. And at 1, I have the Georgia Bulldogs. They are coming off a 39-22 win at home against Kent State. Definitely not a pretty game from Georgia. Not the prettiest game from Stetson Bennett at all. Ladd McConkey fumbled a couple times. Really poor game from Georgia, I got to say. Out of all the opponents they've played, The one game that's close is Kent State. I was not impressed with Georgia. I mean, they're gonna have to clean some things up. I think they're gonna be fine, but definitely have some things to clean up going ahead over the next few weeks. And I'm confident Kirby Smart will be able to do that. So UGA should be fine, but I mean, at home versus Kent State, not an ideal game right there. But yeah, that's my top 25, guys. I appreciate everyone being here. Sports Expert here. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. Like the video. Comment what you think. I'm out, guys. Sports Expert here. Peace.